One of the things no one tells you about running an agency is that sometimes if you do too good of a job for your clients, they will fire you. We don't want to do this for clients anymore. How about we teach this stuff ourselves? It's still not a place that most people would want to be. If you really know what you're doing, it does still work, but I don't recommend it anymore. There's no space to rank anymore. The skills that you develop in doing that, they're very transferable to other types of online marketing. To be successful, you cannot just focus on one marketing channel. So in the past, if you just did SEO and nothing else, it was fine. You have to create a brand. You have to be well known. You have to be established within your industry. And that means having a podcast like you guys do. Most of the kind of low to mid-end link building stuff, it just doesn't work anymore. No one could ever explain it. So we don't select them ourselves. There's a program manager. Whenever the data is easy to access, the results tended not to be so good. Its ability to string a sentence together is off the charts. It's like significantly better than OpenAI's ChatGPT. We need to figure out like our next big thing, and it's probably going to be like a bigger shift.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today, I am really excited to be joined by Mark Webster, one of the co-founders of Authority Hacker, which is a leading online marketing education community. Welcome to the podcast, Mark.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Nick. Good to be here.
Mark, it's great to have you. To start, why don't you introduce yourself and maybe tell us about how you and Gail came to start Authority Hacker?
Yeah, so my name's Mark Webster. I'm the co-founder of Authority Hacker. I run it together with my business partner, Gail, who I met in a bar in Singapore 14 years ago. And we kind of naturally became friends, got drunk one night and decided it'd be a good idea to start a business together. So I knew a little bit about running websites, building websites back then. He was an SEO specialist. And then we just decided to, why don't we start something together here? So we ended up building an agency together. We ran that for 4 or 5 years, sold that in 2014. But one of the things no one tells you about running an agency is that sometimes if you do too good of a job for your clients, they will fire you because they don't need any more leads. And that was, there were many other problems with our agency, many of them, but that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And we're like, we don't want to do this for clients anymore. How about we teach this stuff ourselves? Like, we developed a lot of cool strategies and tactics. So we just made a blog, started sharing stuff. People got interested, and we really didn't have any monetization plan in the beginning. Later, once the audience had built up a little bit, we're like, how do we make money about this? Well, people want information. Let's give them more information and tutorials and videos and things like that. So it led us to create this course, various courses, and then community product on top of that. So yeah, that's been going for about 10 years now. It's been a pretty wild ride.
That's awesome. We're in the Authority Hacker program. So yeah, it's been a big seismic shift in recent months. Sure, so let's talk about let's talk about the affiliate space then. Is affiliate SEO, is it safe? Is it dead? What's happening?
It's 99% dead for most people. Yeah, let's be honest here, guys. If you are starting out, you have no experience, no budget, and you want to start a business, do not start an affiliate site. Since September 2023, Google's helpful content update and the subsequent core algorithm updates that it has released, despite the sort of glimmer of hope it threw in August of this year, 2024, where some sites that got hit did kind of get unpenalized partially sometimes, it's still not a place that most people would want to be. If you really know what you're doing, you have a ton of experience, a good team, and a lot of money, then in some small corners of that, it does still work, but I don't recommend it anymore. So yeah, it's, for all intents and purposes, it's dead, yes.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. Everyone's kind of seeing that. And I think it's been leading that way for a while. It was getting more and more competitive where, there was a time when if you had a mattress review site, you could just go lay on some mattresses and write reviews. And then it became where the sites that were ranking, they had testing facilities, they had professional equipment. It definitely moved to a more professional model. So I think for a while it's been, if you're a beginner, it's a tough tough way to go. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to add to that, and I agree, sort of 2012, 2014, the golden days, you could write anything and it would rank. Certainly got much harder sort of during the pandemic when people a lot of people started doing stuff online, had more time to create content and all that. But what we're seeing specifically now that's fundamentally different is not just it's getting harder and harder and more competitive. It's that there are not as many, or in some cases, no slots for informational sites, for blogs on the SERPs, right? So if you Google, I'm making this up there, I don't have this in front of me, but like, let's say best pillow protectors or something like that. You used to get 10 sites which were recommending pillow protectors. Now you might get 1, 2, or even 0. What Google is doing now is it will either give you a couple of big publications, big newspapers, but the rest of the sites will actually be sites who are selling these products. So it's almost like Google's taken this middleman out of the picture and just saying, hey, here are the companies we think are the best. Go click on one of those. So it's essentially removed affiliates from play in 90% of cases. And that's really the key issue here, why it's so difficult to get into now, because there's no space to rank anymore.
Yeah,
it's a sad time.
It is, yeah.
It is. It was a fun time when the affiliate sites were thriving. It was. So it's sad to see an industry go. So that was a huge part of your focus at Authority Hacker. So how have you guys pivoted? What are you focusing on more now?
Well, we're still kind of figuring that out, to be honest, because as you said, that was such a massive part of our business. Something like 40% of our customers, 50% of our customers were in that space or near that space. And, a huge amount of them have been wiped out, and that's been pretty catastrophic, if I'm honest with you, for a lot of people, for us as well. So we're kind of trying to figure that out right now, what we're going to do next, really, because we're not going to be creating more courses about starting affiliate sites, that's for sure. Fortunately, the skills that you develop in doing that, in SEO, content creation, and even just running a business in general, they're very transferable to other types of online marketing. And so what we're seeing across the industry is people are pivoting towards, SEO plus e-com, or SEO plus JVs, or agency model, or something else. What I am seeing more and more of is that to be successful, you cannot just focus on one one marketing channel. So in the past, if you just did SEO and nothing else, it was fine. But now to be successful, even to be successful with SEO, you have to create a brand. You have to be well known. You have to be established within your industry. And that means being on LinkedIn, being on social media, being on YouTube, having a podcast like you guys do. So what we're doing next will probably be maybe a bit broader and incorporate more of those things, which, to be honest, at Authority Hacker, we were doing anyway, right? We didn't just do SEO for our own site. We did SEO and it was very successful, but we had our podcast, we had a YouTube channel, we're a little bit on social media, probably not as much as we should be, but the tactics and stuff we've developed there we want to carry over. And I'm also really bullish on AI right now. So we've had a lot of success in creating AI systems, not in a kind of spammy, let's have a one-line prompt that creates an article kind of thing, very much against the low quality mentality that some people take with that. But for example, when we literally just before this, I was filming an intro for one of the podcasts that we had filmed yesterday. And I built this little project within Claude to help me create pre-intros. It just interviews me with a bunch of questions, and then it'll write this, and it's good. Right? These things get more engagement than if I write it myself. So it's kind of more AI augmented rather than, just autonomous AI, but very bullish on that. So we're going to do something, I think, that encapsulates all of that stuff.
We want an exclusive. I think it's a really interesting point that you made. And personally, as well, as a long-time listener of your podcast, I've seen an evolution in your content as well. So very much from education for new people looking to start a business and make money online. And as the weeks and months went on in terms of what you guys were discussing, it became very about building systems. I know Gail's the tinkerer and you're the systems guy, but you could really see that evolution in the way that you were presenting the information. So I guess my question is, has this been a fun time, even after the crash? Is this do you find this exciting, figuring out what you're going to do next?
No. So I think Gail is much more in his element. He, as you said, he's the kind of like 0 to 1 guy. So if you just give him a blank piece of paper, like he loves it. Whereas I really struggle to kind of develop things from scratch. But if I have something already to work with, I'm quite good at figuring out how to improve that or make that more efficient. So it definitely has not been a fun time. We joke about HCU and stuff, but like really, there's a lot of people I know who have like lost their businesses, and it's created like huge financial pain, emotional pain, and all this kind of stuff, and it sucks. And I think it was quite unfair the way Google did it, to be fair. From our own business perspective, I think that while it's painful now, I can see that in fast forward 12, 18, 24 months, we'll have a much better business in a much better space. It's more future proof and all that. Because, Nick, you were saying that the direction of travel, even from 4 or 5 years ago for affiliate SEO, it had probably peaked, right? And so this has kind of forced us to go and figure out the next thing. And it's annoying having to do that. But yeah, it's like, let's rip the Band-Aid off and do it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things you guys have been talking about lately is digital PR, and you've rolled out a training course for that. Can you just tell us why digital PR, why you guys have ventured into that space?
Yeah, so we've been doing link building. I've been doing link building since 2008. And so I've seen the entire evolution of that through all of the early algo updates in 2012, Panda Penguin. The whole industry got completely shaken up through to that, guest posts and PBNs and how that kind of peaked, and then other strategies. But more recently, most of the kind of low to mid-end link building stuff, it just doesn't work anymore. You're unlikely to get penalized these days, but it just does not work. It doesn't move the needle. So if you want to get results for your SEO campaign, then you need good links. And there are probably only really two and a half ways. Guest posting is okay, but if you're not very careful, you can really get into these sites that are kind of selling guest posts as their main business model, and you don't really want links from those sites. So aside from that, it really leaves digital PR and creating linkable assets as the two ways to get the top tier links, and you can do all of those tactics. But we'd heard people doing digital PR for a number of years, but it was this very opaque thing, right? There weren't really many people sharing, here's the step-by-step on how to do it. And I was like, okay, well, how do I come up with a story? And we hired digital PR experts on Upwork to like help teach us how they do this, and no one could ever explain it. It was just like, oh well, I just have a creative idea, or I look at some trends, and yeah, it just comes to me. It's fine if you're in that environment where you're around other people doing digital PR, the way they think and those thought patterns and those processes and those examples, so that is how you learn. But if you're not in that environment, then having some kind of step-by-step tutorial or paint-by-numbers approach to it would make it a lot easier, but it just didn't exist, or didn't exist in an easy kind of to understand way. And that really frustrated me, because I'm the systems guy. I was like, what is the system here? Like, people, what the hell are these people talking about with this stuff? Doesn't make any sense. So we kept honestly banging our heads against the wall. We tried again and again with a bunch of different campaigns. And then eventually, we started to get some traction with some campaigns, also through some friends of ours who kind of gave us some pointers, helped us out here and there. We figured it out. And look, we're still not best in class experts at this, but we can confidently run a campaign that gets, 15, 20, 25 links from good sites now, which I'm told is something of an average thing in the industry. So that kind of led us down that path. And there's a huge demand for it right now, right? That's like what most SEO managers that want to do link building, they're like, well, we want good links. So digital PR is it's the safe bet. Everybody's heard of The Guardian and the BBC and these types of sites. So when you get links from them, people are generally happy.
You cracked the digital PR nut, which is a hard nut to crack. You systematized it. I suppose you could have gone the agency route and ran this yourself, but instead you've gone the training people for them to be then hired. Why did you go that route instead? I
think we were probably just a bit jaded from running our agency back in our SEO agency back in sort of 2013, 2014. It was quite taxing then. We were very young, in our sort of mid-20s at the time, but it was tough. We had 30-something people working for us, and we scaled too quickly. Our systems weren't good. Our client communication was bad. Our sales processes were atrocious. I don't know how we got that far. Looking back on it, honestly, it was a complete mess. But for some reason, it sort of pulled together, but it was tiring running it. And I think Authority Hacker and the businesses, the sites we created after that was very much like a reaction of let's do anything except build an agency. I'm not against ever doing that in my life now. Like I know a lot more about running a business and managing a team and that kind of stuff now than we did back then for sure. But yeah, we didn't really have the kind of energy to go start an agency in this space. Like I'd much rather kind of sit back and kind of like make a course that you can sell to multiple people rather than like have to do sales calls with clients and like onboarding and reporting and that kind of stuff. Honestly, a lot of it was, we really enjoyed the SEO work when we ran an SEO agency. It was all the non-SEO work, like dealing with the client's legal team or compliance team in order to get some changes passed on the website so that we could do our thing. It was just so much red tape, and that was felt quite frustrating. So
yeah, and I imagine you guys, you're already doing training, so that kind of fits within your wheelhouse anyway. But you've
and you know we sold over 14,000 courses, maybe 15,000, something like that, in the last 10 years. So I mean, we've gotten quite good at packaging up courses. We know what works. We know how to sell it. We know how to promote it. And we've got like some good affiliates on board. Like our Facebook ads do pretty well now. So we've kind of over time built up all these components that help us do it. So it just made sense to kind of go down that path as well.
Yeah, it makes total sense. You guys are also involved now in like marketing role hiring, right? With marketing pros?
That's right. Yeah. So we invested in them like a year and a half ago, something like that. It actually started with 2 years ago. We were looking to hire a video editor and just having a really tough time in doing that. And then one of our community members, actually, I ended up meeting him in real life, and we ran this company, Marketing Pros, and it was a very, very small agency at the time. They just sort of started. But I was like, well, let's give this a go. They're based over in Cape Town in South Africa, which for us in the UK, like the time zone it's almost the same. So it's perfect. It wasn't so much like the cost, like you can get cheaper people if you go to Philippines or, Southeast Asia, but the quality and the kind of culture fit for what we were doing was off the chart. So we got really interested, hired a bunch more people through them, and then eventually had a conversation like, can we like help out in some way? So we invested in the company, and we also help like promote them here and there. But we also run link building training schemes for graduates over in South Africa. So we're training them up in order to do link building, and then marketing pros go and place them in link building agencies and with in-house SEO teams. So yeah, it's been fun. So it's something different, but it's good to see that kind of like early stage startup from a kind of like different positions. First time we've done anything like that, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've actually hired someone from Marketing Pros, a digital PR specialist. It was before you came out with your training, but yeah, we found it's a really good fit, especially if for this role they're pitching the media in the UK. You really have to have a good understanding of the UK media. It's not where, even if you speak fluent English, you really need to have that understanding of the media. So we found it's a really good location to hire if you're looking for remote and you want to go outside the UK.
Yeah, exactly. So the digital PR is like perfect example of something like that. I just found it so easy to train people in South Africa because they have that like native English advantage. It just, something about it makes a big difference for like, even if you're doing kind of guest post pitches and link building pitches and things like that. The subtlety in communication, it matters a lot.
So you're training you're doing digital PR training now. Are you pre-selecting the people that you train, and then they then get accredited, and Marketing Pros are then able to offer them as trained digital PR experts? Is that how that process works?
So it's not just digital PR. Like digital PR is a component of it. So it's broader link building. So it includes all of the strategies, one of them being digital PR. So we don't select them ourselves. There's a program manager who's employed by Marketing Pros, and she has like a lot of connections at universities and is very clued into the kind of local scene. And so she's done a great job of sourcing candidates from around Cape Town and around South Africa. And then we kind of do the training remotely. She handles the kind of in-person stuff there. There's a bunch of stuff around like CV development, resume development, this kind of stuff that they also help with. So we've basically just do the training element, and then marketing pros do their magic and then place some of these candidates.
I wanted to see if we could talk about the strategies for digital PR. We've kind of talked about digital PR as a link building strategy, but within digital PR, there's quite a few different strategies. Maybe talk about your favorite strategies within that and the ones you include in the training.
Yeah, so I mean, our favorite one is to get some kind of like data analysis, usually like from a survey. We've tried in the past to do things with Google Trends and other sources of data, but we've always found that whenever the data is easy to access, the results tended not to be so good. Now, I have seen campaigns from Google Trends, or, especially this time of year as we're recording this, the most searched for celebrities in 2024. Like, I'm sure someone's going to land those types of campaigns. But whenever we've ran our own survey, collected our own fresh data about a story or a story connected to, the kind of mood of the nation at the moment, that has tended to do better. Admittedly, our experience is limited. We've run, 5 or 10 campaigns that had any success total. So like, I'm sure you guys do that every week or every month. So it's a different kind of level, but that's been the most successful for us. We have also noticed a couple things whenever we go to kind of highbrow. So we did couple of campaigns about like AI regulation and quite sort of serious topics. Again, it just didn't do so well in terms of number of links. Whereas we talked about something which is more B2C, so side hustles, which also taps into the kind of everyone is skint at the moment, mood of the nation, inflation, economy, all that kind of stuff, tended to do quite well. We've tried to do some proactive newsjacking around future events coming up. International Women's Day, we did something last year. Didn't have much success from that. So yeah, it tends to be more, there's a story that's going on and we figure out some way we can do a data study quickly, add some value, create our own narrative around that, and then we'll find journalists who have been talking about the topic, reach out to them and do your usual kind of pitch, and it seems to have worked for us.
Yeah, we find the same thing as well. Like the more original you can get with data, especially, and if you can fit that into, you're British as well. We know the British media. What sort of rubbish the papers print. Like if you can fit into that in a way that's of interest to a large readership and it's original, it's not just the same crap which every PR is sending every day, you've got a much better chance of like winning way more links and getting better coverage. I'm interested, you're bullish on AI, as we all are. We are integrating AI as much as possible, obviously in scaling our ability to gather data, process data, find narratives within data. It's all very exciting, super confusing. It blows my head when I'm trying to figure out how to create an AI agent and all this, but a lot of fun. Where are you bullish on AI? I'm wondering if you could start maybe by talking about linkable assets as a link building, but in a broader sense, where are you bullish?
So, I guess there's a couple questions there. In terms of like where I see AI going, this is, at any time you say this is the worst it's ever going to be, right? So when you look at the early days of GPT-2, it was pretty crap, to be honest with you. Even early GPT-3, not so good. Early Mid-Journey, you had the people with 6 fingers and all that. And some people got super excited on day one. Some people wrote it off on day one. But I think that anyone that maybe had reservations, they would do well to come back every 3 to 6 months, visit it again and just see what's changed, because the landscape is very different now. I'm a big fan of Claude.ai. It's very similar to ChatGPT. It's run by a company called Anthropic. And the quality of writing, like its ability to string a sentence together is off the charts. It's like significantly better than OpenAI's ChatGPT at the moment. So we use that for most of our kind of content-based link building, content-based AI content. This week, actually, OpenAI announced they're rolling out this Canvas feature as well, which it's kind of like Google Docs, but for AI. So you can kind of like select bits of text, comment on it, have AI go and change that bit, edit it yourself. So I really see it kind of almost replacing like writing tools like Google Docs or whatever Word, whatever people are using, because it's just much better because it can do all the kind of AI stuff in there. So and then they've got the video thing coming out this week as well, Sora, which it's going to have the same issues with like 6-finger woolly mammoth or whatever, but give it 3-6 months, it's going to be really, really good. And I can see us already using that instead of, kind of B-roll and stuff on our YouTube videos. So a lot of disruption still to come. I'm just super bullish on the industry as a whole. I will caution anyone, because I'm also being British, quite skeptical of a lot of things. I think the difficulty is if you go on YouTube and like, how do I do AI? You get a million people that are like, hey, here's how to make $100 a day with ChatGPT in 6 seconds or whatever. And it's like, it's very hypey, kind of lacks substance. So it's you kind of almost have to sift through a lot of crap in order to find like the real value. But there is real value in most videos out there. It just takes a bit of time, but that will, as people or as the community gets smarter and kind of understands things, I think that will all get kind of digested down into easier to consume way. But if you're a business owner right now, it's something I really think you need to spend a bit of time getting to know, because there's real danger that you get left behind if you sit this one out. And I've spoken to a lot of business owners, even our own community, who are like, oh, I just don't have the time to do it. And I think it's just something you're going to have to make the time to do, really.
That's such a good point. And I also think as well, getting left behind as a business owner, but also on like a personable level, like as somebody who uses AI in business, it's just becoming second nature now to dive into these tools. And I'm using it in my personal life. Like I just was scammed, I think, today, or I purchased something from a website. It's now gone 20 days. It's not been delivered. I then went to check Trustpilot and found about 1,000 one-star reviews saying this is a scam company. I ordered a pink rug, would you believe it or not, for my living room. So it's actually not a bad thing. It hasn't turned up. It's my wife that ordered it. But yeah, I did a chargeback on the card app, and the bank said, send us as much detail as you can and give us an overview of these bad reviews. So I just saved the page as a PDF on the Trustpilot reviews, got it to produce a summary for me on what the general consensus of the people was, and was able to really quickly reply to this quite important personal situation in a very fast way, rather than sitting down and having to write all this stuff out. So yeah, I think it's quite exciting to be able to utilize this stuff in our personal lives, as well as seeing how beneficial it can be in business.
And as a business owner, it's not just, I can create some social media post or a script for YouTube, whatever. It's like, it's literally like processes which you have to run every day or every week. Like you can automate, like save time and save money. Like any business owner, that is what they care about: saving time and saving money, and being able to do more with less. So yeah, it's very cool. And I just love how, like, I'm not a developer. I don't know how to code besides some basic HTML. So it's really exciting to be able to like build stuff finally, because for years I've had all these cool ideas, but I felt like not being able to code was a huge limitation to that. So a couple of weeks ago we built this like meeting note analyzer. So whenever we do a Google Meet meeting, we turn on recording, and it would create a transcript as well. And so there's an automation that will look for those in the folder, and then it will kind of like run it through our own custom prompt, where we're saying, if there's any action points, like list out the action points. If there's anything that's undecided, list that out. If there's anyone that needs to be included in future, list that out. So we kind of almost create our own software in a way. And, you end up paying $30 a month for some of the done for you tools that do the same thing. So and it's not as good because it's not tailored to your experience. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's a huge advancement when you can do those kind of things. And how long did it take you to build that?
It took Gail like a day, something like that.
Yeah, if you were going to build out a custom tool, you would have had a meeting with the developer. They would have sketched it out.
Cost twice as much, taken 4 times as long. You got in 6 arguments. And yeah.
That's amazing. So on that same note, are there any channels on YouTube that you'd recommend for learning how to build some of this stuff, or AI marketing strategies?
Honestly, it's tough because you kind of have to go around so many and like just pick up little bits here and there. In terms of just like staying up to date, there's a guy, Matt Wolf, who actually used to be more in the online marketing space. That is if you just want to know what's happening, that's a good place. The AI Advantage as well is one worth paying attention to. Honestly, the best channels are usually these, like, someone will just make like 4 or 5 videos or something, but they're like so good because it shows them actually building something. If someone's kind of screen sharing building something, that's who you want to follow, not the person that's telling you what to do, the one who's showing you what to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's the new year looking like then for Authority Hackers? What can we expect? I'm not expecting you to do any like huge announcements, but I know that you've been doing a lot with Facebook ads. You've got your link building training and stuff. What can we expect to see in January?
I don't know, to be honest. We're kind of figuring that out. Like we really are and I don't want to understate this. Like we are in a huge pivot right now. We were primarily our like biggest source of revenue was from selling SEO courses, and the biggest chunk of that was people who are interested in affiliate SEO. It's gone, right? It's gone. Like we don't sell that anymore. We have a few new courses out, but it's nowhere near what it was before. So like we need to figure out like our next big thing, and it's probably going to be like a bigger shift away from just doing SEO. Like I think we will always do SEO because it's fun, it's quite interesting, it's challenging, and it's quite good. Like the return you get on doing that. And I think that for a lot of businesses, a lot of established businesses, a little bit of SEO can go a long way. There's huge ROIs for them to have. I just don't think that that's the only thing we're going to do. We're going to go much broader. Still a big fan of kind of courses and communities and these kind of things, and creating all the free content. I think we'll do much more free content next year. Probably eat a bit of a pretty significant revenue hit, but like do more free content and just like build cool stuff and share it. That's how we got started with Authority Hacker and how we got some initial traction. And maybe along the way we did get a little bit sidetracked by building loads and loads of products and trying to make money basically. But I think if we go back to basics and just create good stuff, people will follow.
You guys do great training courses. Is e-com on the table at all? I mean, a lot of people in the space, they've moved on to e-com. It's maybe the closest direct transfer of skills. Has that been a thought for you guys?
We thought about that, but like 8 years ago or something, there was this, there used to be a lot of affiliates who were doing like paid media buying, that kind of stuff to an offer. I mean, some people still do it, but it was big 8-9 years ago. And then it just kind of like the margins got squeezed, and then various updates and rule changes on some platforms cut out completely, and all of those people went and did e-com because it was the closest thing, and they had some success. I just think that e-com it's quite a mature market at the moment, and while there are some great products on there, shout out to Manta Sleep, like one of my favorite products of all time. This guy Mark runs these sleep mask things, really cool. So I love seeing companies like that do stuff where they design something. I'm not such a fan of these products, of these companies that will take some OEM product off the shelf from some factory in China and then rebrand it and sell it for 6 times the price because they have some good Facebook ads. Like it works, sure. It's just it's not necessary.
You can't believe in it. You
I
can't
don't
get behind
it. Yeah. And look, I don't mean to kind of like generalize all e-com into this bucket, but it does have that kind of bro-y atmosphere at times.
Okay, as we come to the end then, like I just want to say thanks for all the content that you've put out. Authority Hacker's been with me for a long time as a podcast. You've also taken a bit more of center stage, would you say, on the YouTube news channel? It's mainly you, I think, in those now. Are you enjoying that? I
mean, like Gail's English. So, I mean, for a French guy, he's pretty good at English, right?
You do the French version.
He's honestly, you just see the final cut. You should see all the edits and stuff that go into that. But it's look, there is a penalty if you are a non-native English speaker in YouTube, especially in like short form YouTube content. Like people do not engage with it. We've tested that quite well. So it just made more sense. Like he's still very involved in like creating the scripts and what like the information that goes into it. Really, like we couldn't do that without him. But I quite enjoy it as well. Honestly,
that's good. I love it. It's really, it always pops up on my thing, and it's always timely. I think you've got the length down to a T, and it flows beautifully. It's really good. So yeah. Keep that going. Are we expecting the podcast to continue into 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the things we're putting more energy into next year and in making that bigger and better. And we've done 360 something episodes now, and we started in 2016, I believe. So it's been going a while. And the thing about doing that many podcast episodes is there's only so many times you can say just create content and build good links. before it kind of gets a bit samey. So I think it's important that we keep it interesting for ourselves in order for us to create good episodes and keep people engaged. So, that's why when this whole AI thing came along, we did jump into that a bit more, and we start talking about that a lot more in our podcast now. So yeah, I think as long as we're still interested in it, like, we will do that forever. So
I'm glad to hear that. I can honestly say that the podcast has had a huge role in my development in SEO. So it's good.
Nice. How do you guys find it in the first place? Because I always ask people this, because it's not really an easy thing to discover on its own. Like, I feel maybe you guys feel the same with yours, but like podcasts, it's not so much about discovery, but about engaging people who maybe find you elsewhere, and like they really get to know you a bit more through your podcast.
I saw you recommended in a like a mommy blog Facebook group when I started my first affiliate site, and I think someone had said, "Oh, you've got to check out this AH podcast." So I was searching AH podcast, and like nothing was coming up, and then I went in and carried on reading sort of Authority Hacker, and then I got in, I listened to the first episode. It was really endearing. I was really like took in from the first episode that I listened to.
I don't even remember. I had like Smart Passive Income, Niche Pursuits, you guys. It was just a handful of marketing podcasts found a long time ago. So I'm not really sure. Okay.
Well, Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I can't wait to see what you guys do next year. And if people want to find you now, where would you say is the best place for them to hunt you down?
authorityhacker.com is our site. You can go over, subscribe to our podcast there. We're on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on social media. I don't post that much, but feel free to hit me up. If anyone needs anything, that's fine.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks for coming on, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And that wraps up this episode of Market Movers, Building Brands and Links with Linkify. Big thanks to our parent company, Linkify, the wizards behind turning ambitious businesses into standout brands. Hit up our website at linkify.io and take the first steps towards brand greatness. Big shout out to Fame for making this podcast possible. Thanks for listening, folks. Stick around for more insights in our next episode. Catch you later.